order. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You all sound so good when we have people in. Ms. Garza, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Chairman DeMaria?
Here.
Vice Chairman Albrecht?
Here.
Mrs. Kiefer? Here. Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mrs. Seaberg?
Here.
Mrs. Williams?
Here.
Mr. O'Hanlon?
Here.
Mr. Morales? Mr. Anderson? Here.
Dr. McGorry, do you have additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes.
Under student achievement, and the discussion agenda, Mayfield's Intermediate School 2016-17 SOL data presentation. We also have additions and deletions to the consent agenda with the student transfer request. Also, we have personnel ratification, personnel appointments, resignations, transfers, and recommended terminations.
Thank you. We have spotlights and announcements.
Yes, we do.
Ms. Radford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, other members of the board, and certainly good evening to everyone that is here with us on tonight. We do have one spotlight that we would like to share with you on this evening. Manassas City Public Schools is always thankful for the many businesses and community groups that support our schools. Last year, the Bull Run Rotary Club was here around the same time to present funds to support MCPS Fine Arts. Their generous donation was used to buy new instruments for band and for orchestra. Tonight, the Rotary Club has returned to make another presentation to assist with refurbishing and or replacing drum heads for the Metz and Osborne marching bands. We are honored to have with us Pamela Byers, President-elect of the Bull Run Rotary Club, along with other Rotarians whom she will introduce in just a moment. We also have several members of the MCPS Fine Arts staff here with us and some students, including Mrs. Carol Hart, who serves as a division coordinator for Fine Arts, as well as Andrew Wassam, our Osborne High School band director. We have Paul Hickey, Victor Sousa, band directors at Mayfield. And then we have several students with us, Byron Washington, Dylan Scott, Aiden Boaz, Troy Walker, and Maria Seaberg, who are all drummers. And also our Band Booster President, Erica Washington, and the Band Booster Secretary, Jennifer Boaz. So I'm going to ask that they would all come down and join us right here to my left. And Ms. Byers is going to come and share a little bit of information about this donation and tell us who's with her today.
Sure.
I would also like to add that the Bull Run Rotary is also the sponsor of the Osborne High School Interact Club. So not only are they doing this tonight, but they work with Osborne High School throughout the year with their Interact Club.
Thank you, members of the Manassas City School Board, for affording us a few minutes of your
Excuse me, Ms. Byers?
Yeah.
Could you do me a favor and stand at the podium? Because the thousands of people on television want to hear your lovely voices.
Okay, then. Hi there. Thank you, members of the Manassas City School Board, for affording us a few minutes of your agenda time this evening. My name is Pamela Byers, and I am the 2018 President-elect of the Bull Run Rotary Club. As you can see, Rotary is made up of business owners and professionals from your community, and I am joined this evening by
Patrick Cobb, President of Bull Run Rotary. Dan Granite.
Rotary is the largest worldwide service organization, not only working to eliminate polio, we're this close, with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the National Water Alliance to build wells for access to clean water in Africa, but also to ring the bell during Christmas season for the Salvation Army, participate in the Occoquan River cleanup, pack the comfort cases for those children in foster care, and other service projects within the community. This evening, we're back again to present this small token with hopes to spark and/or expand some child's interest in music who otherwise would not have the ability to participate. It is my honor to present this check this evening to the Manassas City Public School Music Department for the purpose of making repairs, reconditioning, purchase, and replacing of drums and drum cases for what's a fine band without a fine drum line. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Just kind of fill in on this side over here, please.
Don't hit go to the TV, guys, wow.
Y'all come forward so people can get behind you. Yeah.
And today happens to be National Hug Drummer Day, so.
Okay, look this way, please. 1, 2, 3. That's good.
Yep, one more. And just so you know,
Anybody else? Let's show some thanks to the Rotary Club one more time. Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. It's community involvement with our businesses and our parents and our local clubs is very important, and we appreciate it very much.
We'll be back again.
We'll be here. Cool. Thank you very much. Ms. Radford, we done? Thank you, ma'am. Committee reports. Mr. Williams, anything on academics?
No report.
Education support, Mr. Albrecht.
No report.
Policy, Ms. Kiefer.
no report.
Really? Rolling. Mr. Albrecht, finance.
Let's keep it going. No report.
Okay. Ms. Seibert, personnel?
No report.
All righty then. Board member comments. We will start with Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So actually this weekend, I attended a visit to Virginia Tech where me and a few other avid members, we actually learned whether we got accepted or not. So on top of visiting the school, we also all got accepted, which was wonderful. Another thing I have to say is in our club, this Saturday, we are doing an Occoquan River cleanup from 9 to 12. Afterwards, we will be having Tony's Pizza. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, young man. We're quite proud of you. Mr. O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, thank you to the Rotary for the generous donation to the Manassas City Schools music program. Sorry there, I don't see any of them here, but thank you. Recently, I was invited to Hayden to talk to the students about government. First of all, I wanted to thank all those involved for the invitation, and I want to tell you that it was probably a better experience for me than it was for the kids. They got my nervousness, but I got the energy from those kids, and it was tremendous. It was wonderful to meet such engaged students with great questions. Thank you to the teachers who have sparked this interest in their students. Congratulations to all the students at Osborne recently honored at the Youth Salute Banquet, and listening to all the accomplishments of the students leads me to believe there are no limits to the talents and abilities of the next generation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Williams.
Well, as a fellow Rotarian, I'm always amazed at what the Rotarians can contribute to their communities. Oh, I don't have, thank you, Peter, just put my microwave on. I mean, microphone on. Anyway, also, Mr. Anderson, others are going to be very envious of you. Congratulations. I also wanted to acknowledge the seniors and staff at Osborne High School who participated in the Senior Council, the National Council of Leadership program. There were about 15 students who participated in the program at the dinner Peter had mentioned, and 14 of them started with the Manassas City Public Schools back in 5th grade. I'm sure many longer than 5th grade. It was great to see them then and see them now, and I know that they're going to do great things when they graduate this year. So congratulations to them. Our flags were flown half-staff after we've lost so many lives this last week and a half now. And my heart really goes out to the families of the people who lost their loved ones. They'll never be able to hug them again. My prayers are with each and every one of them. My son, who is 18, who is in 8th grade, he's 13 years old, noticed that the flags were not at the top of the flagpoles, in his words, in our schools. And I realized I've never had the conversation with him about how we honor our lost people throughout our country, that our country really does honor those who we've lost. So I told him, always pray something special when you go by a flagpole and you see that the flag is half-staffed. And that is the end of my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Mrs. Seberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since our last school board meeting, I did attend the VSBA Legislative Advocacy Conference with Mr. Albrecht, Dr. Stone, and Ms. Wingfield, where we heard from Governor McAuliffe, some of the gubernatorial candidates, and other legislators. We learned about upcoming issues for the 2018 legislative session and hot topics in education, including student discipline and the teacher shortage in the Commonwealth. I want to echo the thoughts on the Youth Salute Banquet, and I also want to say to our current high school juniors to please consider your leadership qualities and that you demonstrate and apply for this opportunity. October is National Bullying Prevention Awareness Month, and this is a time intended to raise awareness, share resources, and encourage communities to take a stand against bullying. This month and throughout the year, our staff incorporates lessons and activities to educate and empower students in dealing with and putting an end to bullying. It takes a community, so please do not stand by and say nothing. Model kind behavior. And when you see or experience bullying yourself, please report it so it can be dealt with. If you feel uncomfortable about putting your name on a report, you can report anonymously through Let's Talk. Finally, I wanted to mention that some of our students, Osborne students, are going to be competing in a regional Special Olympics event being hosted by the Manassas Park City Schools on Thursday, October 19th. If any of the members of our community would like to join us for the send-off, please meet by 9:15 on October 19th along Eagle Way as they head over to Manassas Park High School. These athletes will compete in a variety of track and field events with their peers from Manassas Park and Prince William County between 10 and 12. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Kiefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know when the world sometimes feels like it's in a bad place, whether it's Las Vegas or the wildfires or the hurricanes, coming here is kind of like you see all the good things that are going on. You see Mr. Anderson with his grandiose announcements, and you see the Rotary just being a great community supporter. So it's really a highlight to come here and to see everything, and I look forward to hearing from our schools today as well. It's National School Lunch Week. We'd be remiss if we didn't thank everybody who makes sure our kids have the food they need to get through the day. So we just wanted to acknowledge that. Osborne Homecoming was great. It was nice to kind of pull up in front of the school and see all the kids dressed up and all decked out in their best blues, and everybody seemed to have enjoyed themselves. And just go support your schools. I know a lot are, kicking off the fall stuff that's going on. Fall's the best season ever. if it ever gets cooler. Hayden has a fall festival on the 20th. Baldwin has Bonanza on the 20th. And Round has costume bingo on the 20th. And I hope I didn't miss any other ones, but those are the ones that I saw. So everybody go out and support your schools and enjoy yourselves. So happy fall. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Williams.
Thank you. Good evening. I was going to thank the Rotary Club as well, but I guess they've gone, but hopefully they're watching on TV. So thank you for your support of our community. We appreciate it. And congratulations to the band as well. I know the band is doing some great work, I've heard, so I hope they keep it up. I'm going to conclude with just to ask you all, I know we're going through a tough time in this country, but give your thoughts and prayers to those who are going through something. My eldest daughter lives in Los Angeles, and she has tons of friends who on the weekend go to Las Vegas, and she texted us that some of her friends went in Las Vegas when the shooting happened. And it's just tragic, obviously, but pray for those folks because that's something we won't forget soon. We have a staff member, my wife and I, who is from Puerto Rico and is family in Puerto Rico, one of whom's aunt is with her now, and the folks there are suffering, so keep them in your thoughts and prayers as well. And I heard this morning at Texas Tech there was an officer who was tragically shot in the line of duty, and that gets lost in all the noise, but that's something that we need to honor and pray for that family as well, because that's something that we have an officer who's serving our community who won't be with us any longer. So I know this not fun stuff and, not great stuff, but something we should keep, top of our mind because it's something very important. And on that note, I will end. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Albrecht.
Thank you, sir. Thanks to Bull Run Rotary, but actually for every single one of our parents and our community members, our business partners who do something every day to help education. We're all in this together, and it's all of us doing these things. Tonight we recognize the Rotary, but any one of our board meetings, it could just as easily be one of hundreds of other individuals or organizations. So thanks to everybody. That's what makes us special. And the vein of being thankful is people have talked about various things that have happened domestically, whether it's in Florida, Texas, Puerto Rico, wildfires in California right now, Las Vegas, everything we think about. It's time to be thankful for what we do have here in Manassas. All too often, our community is very critical of ourselves. When we really sit back and look at the global perspective, the national perspective, we've got a lot of fantastic things here in town, and I'd really encourage everyone to be more expressive and more thankful for that. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, sir. After all those fine comments, I'm just going to mention that I believe we have the date set for January 12th. There is a girls' basketball game and then a boys' basketball game, and we will be dedicating the Osborne Court to Mr. Barry Suddeth. So put that on your calendars now. I want everybody there. This is very important. Barry was quite a guy, and it'll be a great night. So that's all I'm going to say. So thank you all for that. We will move on to citizens' comments. At this time, we welcome citizens who wish to speak about the services, policies, and affairs of the City of Manassas Public Schools. Because we have an agenda complete, we ask that comments be limited to 3 minutes. We appreciate the time that you have taken to be here. We treat citizens' comments as a public hearing, and we do not engage in conversations with speakers. The lack of an immediate response to your comments should not be taken as a lack of interest or concern. Please be respectful when presenting your comments. I've got one person down, our MEA president, Mr. Rodney Jordan. And I got a second hand up there right now, so I can tell when the 3 minutes are up.
3 minutes?
Yes, sir. But you can have them all.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Dr. McGore, School Board. Thank you for having me. While no one can argue that any individual who works in education, whether it be an administrator, a teacher, cafeteria worker, bus driver, school board member, is greatly underpaid, I would like for you all to consider the following in your discussions tonight. One, many of our bus drivers work on a 5.5-hour contract and do not receive full benefits. However, they work 7 to 8 hour days, and this includes their regular runs, after-school activities, and additional time taking students back to schools when there's misconduct on the bus. and to my knowledge, this has been going on since 2008. Last year, our interventionists were reassigned and their jobs were outsourced to a private company. The people filling these positions are not necessarily required to have degrees, from what they've told me. Thinking ahead, I can see people being curious about where the money will come from to support a raise for our school board. And they'll probably also want to know, is the board's role expanding? And what is the division going to do in next steps when it comes to the salary and compensation of our employees? So in conclusion, in your discussion tonight, under action agenda item A, I ask that you consider the feelings of our bus drivers and what will happen to the morale of our division should this raise be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I don't have anyone else signed up. Does anyone else like to speak? Okay. We'll move on to discussion. Student achievement, Baldwin Elementary. Mrs. Goldson. Oh, wait a second. Calm down. Don't get all excited. Can I get a motion for the consent agenda before it just stand right there?
I'm just not going to move.
Okay, Vice
Chair,
Chair.
the school board of the city of Manassas adopt the consent agenda as modified.
Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mr. Williams, that the city of Manassas approve the consent agenda as modified. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries 7-0. Ms. Goldson.
Hi.
From Baldwin Elementary.
Look how quick she got down there.
She was right there ready to go.
Eager. Good evening, Chairman DeMaria, Sergeant McGurk, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen of our community. My name is Laura Goldson, and I am the principal of Baldwin Elementary School. I am joined this evening by Baldwin's amazing instructional coaching staff and Mrs. Armstrong, our assistant principal. With their support, it is my privilege to share with you our annual update. In May of 2017, the leadership team of Baldwin Elementary worked together to write a vision that reflects, did I change that or did that? A vision that reflects where we are on our journey together as a school in service to our community. At Baldwin Elementary School, we are committed to developing a community of resilient learners who have pride in achievement and who are respectful, responsible, and safe citizens. Our students will collaborate effectively in their quest to be innovative problem solvers. And this is our dedication to them, and this is our vision for our school moving forward. We had a big year at Baldwin last year, and I'd like to spotlight some of the achievements of our students and teachers. And we moved. We moved. That was an enormous achievement that was really driven through the dedication, commitment, planning, and resolve of our teaching staff. They flawlessly executed the logistics that had been put in place by many, many people. They did it with a smile on their face, and those students were in their seats and ready to learn the week we came back to school in January. It was a heroic effort that was made by an entire community to move that school down the street. So that was a huge achievement. We were very proud of our first LEGO League team who participated in the Northern Virginia DC Regional LEGO competition last November at Osborne Park High School. They were tenacious and a student-driven team, and we are looking forward to see what they do just a few weeks from now with the experience that they gained last year. And once again, the Baldwin PTO was recognized by the publication PTO Today. They were given special recognition in general excellence for their efforts to support the academics and the culture of our community. They are tireless in their efforts, and I know we're all looking forward to Bonanza coming up. Our community engagement remains a very strong part of our Baldwin community. We're excited about the opportunity that parents have to increase their English language proficiency and use that English language proficiency to engage further with their students' academic experience at Baldwin. We also have our Watchdog program, and the Watchdogs, DOG stands for Dads of Great Students. We invite our dads to come in and have a day-long volunteerism experience. So not only are they working side by side with teachers to help kids with academic tasks, they're at recess, they're at lunch, we're transitioning in the hallway, they go to Encore, they get a real experience about what the school day is like for their children, since it really has changed a lot since some of us have gone to school. This year we are a Project Lead the Way theme school, and we are really looking forward to those hands-on learning opportunities that our kids are going to be able to engage in this year. And of course, I'd like to highlight for you our student achievement results from last year, and for that we'll move on to our next slides. So that you can see the depth of work that has occurred at Baldwin, I'd like to highlight the achievement of our students in the area of reading. It's important to note that an increase of 5 or more percentage points is considered statistically significant. Our students made gains in their learning measured by an increase of 9 percentage points. This represents positive growth, hard work, targeted, well-planned, and effectively delivered instruction on the part of our teachers. If we look a little closer at the story that underlies this report, I'm going to flip slides, there we go. We can see that our students engaged in successful learning experiences that were demonstrated with a range of increases from 8 percentage points to 27 percentage points. And when we look at this bigger picture and the achievement trends over the past 5 years, Baldwin has seen a pattern of gains. Our teachers and instructional staff have worked hard to identify the practices that have resulted in this level of student learning, and they will continue to reflect and analyze on the steps that we need to take to perpetuate a pattern of success at Baldwin. When we look at our math pass rates by reporting groups, most Baldwin students showed growth of 3 to 4%. However, we did experience some decline in our 4th grade math SOL results, and I'm going to speak to them on our next slide. So I'm going to start with that, with 4th grade math. While it is accurate that the grade level, a year-to-year comparison, showed a decrease in performance on that assessment, if we look closely at the cohort of students who took the 4th grade math SOL last year in 16-17, you'll notice that when they were assessed in the 15-16 school year, they scored a 64%. So while, yes, it's true that that year-to-year score did decrease, the cohort saw an increase. And the data indicates that the students were able to fill in a gap, fill in some learning that they might have missed in 3rd grade while still learning 4th grade material. So our 4th grade teachers have engaged in some reflection and analysis to really determine what actions they need to take to continue to help these students grow. Of course, I'd like to highlight the achievements again of our 3rd and 4th grade students in the area of reading and our 3rd grade students in the area of math. Baldwin Elementary teachers and students are committed, optimistic, and prepared to leverage this success into a pattern of achievement for all students. In doing some analysis, our areas of strength, as I've already spoken to, would be the students' achievement in the area of 3rd and 4th grade reading, 3rd grade math, and 4th grade Virginia studies. Our school is student-centered, and it is an inclusive environment where all students have the opportunity to feel and see themselves as successful. We have high levels of parent engagement, and we have a collaborative, highly engaged staff. For areas of improvement, while we have made gains, we still need to strengthen our overall math and reading instructional program. We've identified some areas in reading and language arts, main idea, asking and answering questions, drawing conclusion, cause and effect, and summarizing events. Those things school-wide, K through 4, are going to be targeted in our language arts program using a balanced literacy model. In math, we're going to look at the equal sets, equations, and that entire area of numerical equality. Rounding, comparing whole numbers, estimation, and multi-step problem solving. Again, K through 4, multi-step problem solving, something we're going to really use a laser focus on with our instructional program. Our improvement goals for 2017-18 in the area of student achievement. We're going to look at 90% of our kindergarten students meeting the PALS benchmark in the spring. 80% of our first and second graders will meet that PALS spring benchmark. 79% of our third grade students will pass that reading SOL. And we'd like to see 74% of our fourth grade students passing that reading SOL as well. In the area of student services, when surveyed, I'd like 85% of our parents to report that school counselors are accessible when their child has questions or needs help. We'd also like to maintain a student attendance rate of 96% or better. In the area of human resources, when our staff is surveyed, we'd like 85% of them to report that school leadership identifies opportunities for professional growth and improvement. And we'd like to maintain a staff retention rate of at least 90% or better. The most valuable asset we have in our schools is our teachers. In the area of communication, 100% of Baldwin Elementary parents are going to participate in a minimum of at least one conference with their child's classroom teacher. And when surveyed, we'd like 85% of our parents to report that they're satisfied with that communication that's happening between the classroom and home. When we look at our response to intervention program, our achievement results last year for our Tier 2 students, we had 47% of Tier 2 students pass our math test, our math SOL, and 42% of our Tier 2 students pass their reading SOL. When we look at our Tier 3 students, 18% pass the math test, and 12% of our Tier 3 students pass their reading SOL. For our next steps, we have our PCG instructors serving those Tier 3 students. They're providing instruction, they're monitoring our online iReady program with lesson plans and as the students progress through that program. They're also progress monitoring very closely the student learning. Our classroom teachers are going to serve our Tier 2 students, and they too will have iReady to support them in that endeavor. Our REI committee will be held monthly to monitor very closely student progress of our Tier 3 and our Tier 2 students. They're going to review that data to inform all of the decision making. We're going to have all of those stakeholders in one room. In closing, I'd like to once again say what a privilege it is to be here presenting Baldwin's achievement data to you. And I'm looking forward to a year of more growth and student engagement.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments? Mr. Albright?
Oh, I always got something
Yes,
to
sir.
say,
I know
everybody
that.
knows that. Ms. Goldson, very nice presentation, well done, good data. But I just want all of us to think about as we look at this, that this data is already 6 months old. It's last year's kids.
That's right.
So when we talk about the cohorts, and I'm a little specious about that, because what it really tells me how I interpreted the data is not that the fourth grade results were bad because the third grade test scores weren't that well. I'm looking at those third grade test scores and looking how year over year they're going up, which tells me this year's test scores for those same kids who are in fourth grade should really be well. So That, to me, is the trend to look at. The past is the past, and we can't change history, so that we're building that good foundation. To me, that's what's really positive.
We're looking forward to laying that foundation for those kids. We're getting the good work done. It's the teachers.
Anyone else? Thank you very much for your efforts. We appreciate it very much. Thank you all, too. Okay, now we're going to have to clap for everybody when they're done. Not just here, even Red Jacket here. Okay, now we're going to go to Williams Elementary School and Mr. Rupert. And you do look sharp, sir.
Thank you.
I think
You're the same.
one of those.
I think the chairman does. I'll take that one.
There we go. There we go. All right, Chairman DeMaria, Dr. McGork, members of the school board, thank you for having me here tonight. I'm honored to represent the students, the staff, the entire school community here at Weems as the proud principal of Weems Elementary. So when we get off starting, I want to talk a little bit about us. And every morning, our students are working towards our mission. And we're very actionable at Weems, and that's one of the things that we try to focus on is making a difference and getting into that active learning. So our mission is we'll build a foundation of learning to help us grow so we can achieve and show what we know. And focus on that every day to get better every single day. In terms of our staff, our word this year is, we've always focused on efficacy and self-efficacy, and now we're focusing on just overall efficacious, being efficacious. Really believing in, students believing in themselves, teachers believing in what they're doing, and making a difference in continuing to move forward. So we've created a common vocabulary at Weems to debunk some of the things. Our common language as us as adults and professionals, we debunk calling a student low. If they're not performing, they're ready to perform at some point, and we're going to make that happen, but they're not a low student. We're going to move them in the right direction. Also, can't, we don't have the can't perception, we have the how are we going to get there. So that's something as a team, professionally, we work towards every single day. We have systematic and reflective leadership, again, that gets into our actionable leadership. We work together in teams, whether it's our professional leadership, our grade level teams, these types of things to be actionable for our students. And that really leads into powerful, cohesive instructional planning that focuses on the student first. When you have strong teams coming together, talking about instruction and their children, it's powerful. And when you have a leadership team that talks through the departments and everybody with a common vision, it's powerful. So that's a few things that I would like to highlight. And we have an amazing staff that they believe in all learners and they work to get there step by step. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Next up, as you know, we're a tag theme school. We have 27 multi-grade level enrichment clusters. The grades 1 and 2 multi-level, grades 3 and 4 multi-grade level. In kindergarten, we focus on project-based learning, but we all have that theme of the school-wide enrichment model and exposure to different types of skills, interest-based, that allow them to work on their social skills and all those other soft skills that are needed in today's day and age to build confidence in not just the academia, but the social realm. So some of those clusters we have 27 of them, a couple examples: future engineers, create and advertise, dazzling dancers, we have culinary, we have a variety of our students, and they're able to do that, take 2 different clusters per year, so by the time they get out, they've been exposed to 8 different interest-based clusters and widen their base. And as you know, we're a school, we have school uniforms, which the colors are red, black, and white, and khaki, so today I'm a walking uniform. Students noticed it at school today. Got lots of hugs of the uniform guy. So, but it promotes teamwork in a sense of togetherness, that we're here and our students understand their role as a learner, and they're here to learn, and we're here to teach them, but it's also us together. So connecting those systems there. So, and also one other thing that I'd like to recognize from our school is we had the Virginia History Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Jennifer Weiser. She's a 4th grade Virginia Studies teacher. She's done great work over the last couple of years. So I want to make sure that I put a shout out, and everybody at Weems is extremely proud of her. Okay? Let's move into some of the data. pass rates by subject. We've systematically been improving, moving forward. 2012, if you take a look at 2012 in English and reading, we're at a 75%. We're currently at an 85%. Mathematics, we've moved from a 79 to an 87. In Virginia Studies, we've moved into the mid-90s. So over the past 2 years, we've worked to sustain that as well. Last year, I came to you and we talked about getting into the 80s and how excited we were. Our teachers worked tremendously well together to push that envelope, to not just settle there, to not just say this, we're happy we got there. It's time to move forward. In all 3 subject areas, you see that here. You know, we had a transition with some redistricting that we all worked through, and I'm very proud of the teachers with their ability to be efficacious and push that envelope a little bit further. So some of the things that we do is with goal setting, we want students to set their goals. We really want teachers to understand, talk with students about where they are, together talk about where they're going to go, and then really together how they're going to get there. So that's incrementally the way that we have targeted students, and we're having some success. So kudos to the team and the teachers. Moving on to reading pass rates by reporting groups. As you can see, we're very proud to continue to move forward. If you take a look at some of the students, when we were here last year at this time, we took a look at the black reporting group that had a 66%. So you'll see in reading and math, that's something that the team, we took action on, and we made a plan, and we're very happy to present to you that we had a 15% increase in that reporting group. We're also happy to share other scores in the 80s. One area of note, in English language learners, economically disadvantaged, Black and Hispanic reporting groups throughout the state. They're in reading, the average for those reporting groups is in the 60s and in the low 70s. So as you can see, we're outperforming by double digits in a lot of cases. So really pushing the envelope. Okay, moving on to math, our pass rates. Again, we're seeing some positive moves. We've moved up 1%, continually to move that from 86 to an 87. As you'll see in the black reporting category, as I mentioned, went from a 69 to an 88, really targeted there, and the same type of trend as you see here. Students with disabilities was maintained at a 48%, and that's something that we intend to really dig into this year and really get to the root cause of how we can improve those types of things with our other learners. And I'll talk a little bit about those reporting categories in a moment. All right, so if we go to pass rates by SOL test, we're excited that we're above the state in all subject areas, all tests. So 3rd grade reading, we have 7% increase there over the state, or we out. But really the focus, if you want to take a look at the incremental improvement, 4th grade reading, already at an 82, moving to an 87, making that 5% when you're in the 80s. That's a difficult achievement, and that's kudos to the targeted attention of the team. Also 3rd grade mathematics, our score was at 87%, which is the same as last year, but as you see, that's one of the most difficult around the state at a 75%. So that outlasts the state average at 12% clip. Virginia Studies, again, we talk about that 5%. We moved that 5% from 89% to mid-90s and a 94% rate, and that's Ms. Weiser and her team and the dedication of their hard work. So, getting into the findings, areas of strength, again, teachers are targeted, the entire staff is targeted with the student achievement and working on surpassing those state averages and trying to get better every day. Student achievement surpassed the state reporting group pass rates in 16 out of 16 areas of reading, many times again by double digits, and 15 out of 16 in the areas of math, again, many by double digits. And the one area was 4th grade math, where we achieved, I believe, a 45%, and the state average was a 51%. It is a difficult test at the 51%, but that's something that we want to be targeted, and I'm going to talk about that in the areas of improvement. Shared leadership, I can't talk enough about my team, whether it's my grade level leads, instructional team, grade level leads, every single teacher, staff member, office member, custodian, everybody at Weems brings that efficacious culture. And, through our grade levels, everybody's a leader. We have a reading lead, a math lead, a social studies lead, a science lead, and if you want to see great planning, you come to Weems, because it's really incredible how they dive down into planning those lessons for each and every student. We instituted a student council, so not only leadership at the adult level, but we're growing leaders in terms of our student council K through 4 that participate in monthly meetings and bring back things as examples. So it's really neat to see how they take that on and move those types of things. So we're really promoting the leadership all through the building. And we have strong parent participation in school events. Just an example, this fall, we had 377 parents show up at our family picnic this fall during the day. It was a great experience. And our PTO held about 150 people at their first meeting at the family dinner. They provided dinner, but there were 150 people at their first meeting, and we're great. We have a brand new PTO, and I want to give them a plug. They have lots of energy, lots of great ideas, and I'm really excited about what's coming there. Areas of improvement, we're doing well, but we can always get better. And in terms of drawing conclusions, that's something that's really important. Whether it's we want to build it in reading, but really we want to build it through all subject areas. Where are those conclusions, and how can we make it actionable and applicable? Okay? And then for math, we want to work on automaticity in the basic skills, but we want to kind of push forward into the multi-step word problems and exposing them to real-life application. That's how you get down to math. You can memorize the facts and you can do those types of things, but you got to make them actionable and understand the bigger picture and how you're applying it. Okay? Moving on to our improvement goals, we want to continue to strive to move that forward. 85 to 87 in reading, 87 to 89 in math. Talking about the area of student services as surveyed. Being a tag theme school, we want to make sure that our students are exposed to career pathways and opportunities and make sure that they understand that. And that's something that we do every cluster, that we talk about the careers and the opportunities in that interest and push them forward. And we also believe that we have a little bit of a connection and a structure with TAG to consider some CTE type of opportunities at the elementary school, working with Mr. Steiner at the high school in terms of getting some of those students down to work with our students on how they can expand and think about in those interests, and broadening those opportunities. Human resources, 75% of our staff will feel that they have received recognition for their accomplishments. A happy staff is extremely important. And the second goal there, as surveyed, 75% of staff will feel that they can influence decision as surveyed. So we want to make sure that they have a voice, feel that, absolutely have a voice and push forward what we're doing together. Communication, 100% of our parents will participate in at least one parent-teacher conference every year. We want to make sure that we're, hopefully multiple times, but getting teachers in, or parents in, again, to make sure that the students and the parents both know where their kids are, where they need to be, and how we're going to get there together. And as surveyed, 80% of parents will feel that Weems communicates with them effectively. So we want parents to feel that we're pushing forward and bringing them in as well, and them having a voice. On to response to intervention. With our rates at 68 and 53, we're able to close the gap for a lot of those students, and reading at 50 and 38. And we're going to continue with the procedures that we've had set in place and make the adjustments. Students are identified by using multiple data measures through communication with grade levels. So we're not just looking at data, we're looking at the whole child and getting teacher input and doing those types of things to see what we can do and how we can do that. Tier 3 instruction students will be serviced through daily intervention by PCG in reading and math, and Tier 2 will be serviced multiple days per week by classroom teachers. The RTI team will meet regularly to assess progress, needs, and movements amongst the tiers. So thank you all for letting me have this time to share our exciting plans to lift learners to new heights, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Mr. Rubrick.
No, I wasn't clapping, I was
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Anyone? Mr. O'Hanley?
And this isn't just for Weems. I made the comment 2 weeks ago to, when the rest of the elementary schools were here, each school brings different results and different achievements in different areas, different groups. And I'd like to see those groups of teachers, by subject and by grade level, get together maybe during some sort of academic work day or whatever, in-service day, to share best practices. I know the principals all get together and share your best practices, but that doesn't always filter down, because obviously you're each talking about different things you're doing in your schools. But we would like it to get down to the teacher level to really share, so we can all have great results across the city. So because they're all going to be together sooner or later. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
I do. Mr. Rupert, I don't know if it's the red jacket or my new polysyllabic word of the day, efficacious. Right? Wow, what a cool word. I was stumped for a couple of seconds to come up with something to say. And even your embracing of redistricting. And people could blame it, yet you exceeded expectations and continue to grow, because it really doesn't matter where a child comes from, what color they are. Every child can learn. The biggest barrier we know is poverty. These are the kind of numbers we all should strive for. Exceeding the state goals in all 5, the state averages, is fantastic. It's a great bar to sustain. Hopefully we can continue to do that, and I'm just, it's impressive data. So you and your team should be congratulated.
Thank you, sir. I'll definitely share.
Thank you very much, and you do look rather sharp.
You do, as Tim as well.
I mean, you can carry it off, I could carry it off, Rodney could probably carry it off.
That's about it. All right, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Baldwin Intermediate, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman DeMaria, Dr. McGuirk, members of the board. I am Amanda Wagner. I am the principal of Baldwin Intermediate School, and I am elated to be afforded the opportunity to stand here in front of all of you, as well as the community, and share a little bit of information about Baldwin Intermediate School. So, as you all know, in August of this year, Baldwin Intermediate School opened its doors for the first time for 5th grade. So, as a part of this process, we collectively came together to discuss what we value as the Baldwin Intermediate School community, and out of that grew our mission statement and our vision statement, which I have illustrated here. But in addition to this, we as a community dug a little bit deeper into this with our values and also identified some of our beliefs. So they correlate directly to the mission and vision, but they also center around our collective belief that parents, students, and staff are all integral members of our community, that community involvement and communication are the keys to overall school as well as student success, and that students learn best in an engaging, respectful, and safe environment. So additionally, you'll see here some of just the high-level things that we believe that make Baldwin Intermediate School a very special place to both teach and learn. So the first is that of parental engagement, and I cannot say enough how thankful I am and how impressed I have been with the level of engagement that we have had thus far. And I don't just mean attendance in events, although that has been stellar as well, but I mean in conferences and just overall involvement within the school community. At this point in the year, where we stand, over 75% of our families have been engaged in a conference of some sort. So we're off to a great start with our parental involvement. Also, with great participation, Baldwin Intermediate School is participating in the Redskins Read program. This is focusing on getting students to read grade level text and providing extension and response activities for them. And in doing this, they can complete these independently and earn some rewards. So also, we have had stellar participation. 100% of our students participated in those independent activities in the first month of the program. Also with student and staff engagement, we have something that we call our Husky Huddle, and this is something that we've been doing. We used it to introduce the first day of school as a collective school, and we used it to wrap up and discuss our first week, and we continue to do this on an ongoing basis. And what this is we come together as a school and focus on important concepts such as PBIS, our Positive Behavior Intervention Support Program, as well as team building and other activities that allow for student voice and choice and to give them that true ownership of their school. And out of that, students actually determined what it meant to be a Husky, a Baldwin Intermediate Husky, and to truly exemplify that, and that is the motto that they identified, and they selected that stood for to be a Husky is to be honest, understanding, successful, kind, and a young leader. So that was just one thing that came out of that as we go. Additionally, to further enhance our parental engagement and facilitate digital learning within the school, we also are serving as a pilot for Schoology, which is a learning management system that enables parents and teachers and students to engage with learning materials and their school community within the classroom and beyond. So this is just another tool that we have to engage our students and parents in not only communication but in the actual material. And lastly, I would be remiss if I did not mention we had a successful opening. It was a very exciting process. It has been incredible. I hope that we can keep up this momentum, but truthfully, this is all due to our absolutely stellar staff, students, and parents. So it has been wonderful thus far. So at this point, I'd like to share a little bit of data, and I'd like to point out initially that you will see here that this data is 4th grade, so this is our reading pass rates for reading. And this is 4th grade reading SOL scores from 2016-2017 for our current 5th grade students. So this is our baseline data, and so you can see there that all students in the reporting group, all students are at 73% for reading, and again, that is from school year 2016-2017 for our current students. And you'll see here, same, this is 4th grade math SOL scores for school year 2016-2017 for our Baldwin Intermediate 5th grade students. And you can see there that all students for math are at 78. So some of the findings that you'll see here is areas of strength. So we found across all content areas in the data that recall and reproduction of facts and information and procedures was an area of strength for our students. So that is definitely something that we know that they have that foundational knowledge that we are able to build upon as we continue to go throughout the year. Additionally, we have bi-weekly, so we have the structures and procedures in place for bi-weekly grade level and department planning, which also is something that is an area of strength as we dig into that data, not only what we already have and what we continue to collect, but as we go throughout the year. Also, we have school-wide participation in cross-curricular planning and implementation of project-based learning. Areas for improvement, this is in both reading and mathematics, excuse me, so explanation of concepts and ideas, as well as drawing connections among ideas are areas that we have identified for improvement. And ways in which that we will be addressing these are, as I mentioned, our areas of strength correlate to a strategy to address our areas for improvement, which is that of the bi-weekly grade level and department planning meetings, where across the contents, when we're seeing these same areas for improvement, we can address these collectively as a team and all be on the same page for areas, to improve those for strategies, but as well as to enhance those areas of strength that we're seeing. Additionally, engaging students in project-based learning and writing across the content areas is also going to help us to draw connections among ideas, not only between content areas, but within content areas. So our 2017-2018 improvement goals, For student achievement, so our goal for grade 5 math, our pass rate, we would like to see at least an 82% for mathematics. Grade 5 reading, SOL pass rate, we would like to see at least a 77%. For student services, 100% of students receiving referrals will receive direct support from the principal and/or counselor. 97% is our goal for student attendance rate. For human resources, we are shooting for a 95% staff retention rate minimum for 2018-2019. Additionally, at least 80% of staff will indicate that they are engaged or highly engaged as measured by the Employee Engagement Survey. With regard to communication, 100% parent participation in one conference, either in person or by phone, during the school year. And as I mentioned earlier, we are more than on track to meet that goal, so hopefully we will keep up this momentum. And additionally, 90% parental interaction with the Schoology platform. And lastly, for response to intervention, we have completed our assessment and initial screening and have plans in place and student groups in place for a response to intervention program. And you'll see here this data, again, looks a little bit different than the other schools because this is, we're basing this off of baseline. So this is our initial data. So based off the data that we have, we placed students into tiers, and what you will see here is that we currently have 11 students in Tier 2 for mathematics. We have 12 students in Tier 3 for mathematics. For reading, we have 12 students identified for Tier 2 and 15 students for Tier 3. So what these tiers will consist of for these particular students identified, and again, this will be an ongoing evaluation, but for these particular students, our plans for Tier 2 and Tier 3 is we will have weekly meetings as a grade level, and I mentioned earlier that having that collective support for these students is something we truly value. So we will meet weekly as a grade level committee to include the core content teachers, the PCG instructor, ESOL, special education, and administration to collectively discuss data and adjust not only instruction, but intervention accordingly. The Tier 2 will receive small group instruction within their classroom with their content area teacher, and the intervention that they will be receiving will be based on their individual student needs. So again, digging into that data and making an individualized plan for those students. Tier 3, those students will receive, again, small group, and that will be pull-out instruction, and that will be received with the PCG instructor. So I would like to thank you all so very much for your time and the opportunity to share this information with you.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Did you come up with anything? This one's a tough one.
Yeah.
Really good goals.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay, Mr. O'Hanlon?
I just wanted to say I was able to attend your back-to-school night, and I want to thank you and your staff, especially all those teachers who had to run between your school and Mayfield to be there for all the parents of all the sixth graders, I think, the night I was there. But the coordination between both schools is fabulous, and I just want to thank both of you for the work you've done together to make our two schools really one in how the kids and parents see it. Thank you.
Thank you for being there, and we've been very fortunate. We have incredible staff, and working with Ms. Mills has been wonderful.
Okay. Next year, we expect some more numbers.
I will have more numbers, that I can promise you.
That's right. That should be a goal.
Yes.
An easy one. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayfield Intermediate, Ms. Mills.
Good evening, Chairman Demaria, Dr. McGork, members of the board. My name is Kara Mills, and I'm the principal of Mayfield Intermediate School. As we move through the presentation tonight about Mayfield, I'm going to be saying "we" a lot because I'm representing a group of students and a group of teachers, and we have been working together on this, what you're seeing tonight, since the first score came in back in May and June. So I'm happy to present this to you tonight. Now, on the first slide here, you're going to see, I think, that we take the cake here for the largest logo of the evening. And I wanted you to see our new logo. So this looks a little different than it has in the past. As you walk around Mayfield, you see this new logo. This is our happy, friendly Bobcat. And we've been working on kind of rebuilding some things, reteaming ourselves with our community, with our students, with our parents, and we felt like we wanted a fresh new look. So we started with this new logo, and then we started building our vision together. And we came in as a team to build our vision, and what we kept coming back to is, we want to be a school where kids want to come and where parents are proud to say, my child goes to Mayfield. Well, I mean, what a simple vision. So we started talking about, well, then what does that look like? How do we achieve that status? So we started talking about some key words we wanted to have in our vision. And the result is that we really want a respectful community of enthusiastic learners who are engaged in rigorous and relevant learning that leads them to a lifetime of success as a productive citizen here in Manassas City. So this is our overarching goal and our theme for this year, along with our cute, friendly Bobcat. Some of the things that make us special from last year, some of the things that, we talk about, our parents get excited about, our students get excited about. We've had some really awesome PBIS events in the school. So quarterly, we celebrate our students and we celebrate their successes through these PBIS events. We've had a lot of positive feedback from the parents in these events. They're fun things. They're dodgeball tournaments. They're fall festivals, end of the year celebrations, and it's just a little time that we take to celebrate our students and their successes. Our 6th grade chorus was recognized with regional recognition. So they earned a superior rating at their assessment this past March, and they also received an excellent rating at the King's Dominion Festival of Music in May. So we're really proud of some of the work within our music departments. This year, we, in the same spirit of building our vision and building our team, we started theming our pods. So in the past, when you came to Mayfield, you went into a pod or a learning community. And last year, we started theming around colleges, because we want our students to start talking about their college options in the state of Virginia as they move through Mayfield, Metz, and Osborne. So now, each student actually comes to school every day and goes to a college campus. And our campuses represent Virginia Tech and George Mason and JMU and VCU, I believe is our 4th one. We have flags out there, we have spirit days, we have campus town hall meetings, and they're student-led and student-run. So our students are really getting into this spirit of celebrating our Virginia colleges through our school as well. We had really great attendance and feedback from some of our parent nights last year. We offered several ESOL parent nights where we were bringing ESOL parents in and providing resources from the school and from the community. And one of those nights we had over 100 parents, which was one of the most attended parent events we had all year long. We also added 4 counseling nights to our calendar last year. And at the first counseling night, we asked parents, what do you want to hear more about? What do you want to talk more about? And we got answers like social skills, work habits, peer relations, cyberbullying, and we focused each one of those subsequent nights then on those topics that they gave us feedback on the first survey from the first night. And one thing that we do that we think is really cool is our Friday broadcast. So every Friday we have a 30-minute TV production that goes out to the whole school, and it really allows us to have that moment of community in the school. We have a counselor's corner. We have community members that come in and speak. Librarians come in from the local library. We have an administrative corner. We do shout-outs. Teachers have come on, they've read books. Students come on, they read their writings. And it's just a good time to share things throughout the whole school in the morning and start our Fridays off on a positive note. Okay, so we're moving into our achievement data from the 2016-2017 school year. And what you can see is, we talked about 2 things when we looked at this data. So the first thing that we talked about was the growth over the last 4 years. And obviously, there has been growth over the last 4 years in the areas of reading and math. But what we were most disappointed in is that there was no growth from last year, that the numbers stayed, basically flat in the same area. So, we took that minute to say, okay, let's reflect on what we've done over the last 4 years and how we've had these numbers change, but then what happened last year? And the conversations, like I said, I mean, they started immediately as soon as we started seeing the trends and the scores coming in. And our conversation started with, we need to look back and we need to think about, from the teacher perspective, we can look at 3 areas. We're looking at our instructional strategies. How are we delivering instruction? We're looking at our curriculum. How are we delivering our curriculum and differentiating our curriculum for all of our learners? And then we're looking at our assessment and how we're progress monitoring those students and how we're identifying areas of need throughout the year as we go, and we're not waiting until the end of the year to find that information out. So there, we're having those conversations and making our plan for how we can get those numbers moving in an upward direction again this year. So then when we break it down to our pass rates by our reporting groups, again, I believe Ms. Goldzung talked about how we're looking at 5% to be a significant gain there. And we do have some celebrations within these numbers. In all areas, our English learners grew. In this area of reading, it was 10 percentage points. So we did have tremendous growth there in our Black population and our Asian population. However, something, the reverse effect happened, unfortunately, with our students with disabilities. So immediately our conversation started with, okay, we had success in these areas, what happened in this area? We started looking down into this data and we found a lot of themes around comprehension and vocabulary. So going back, how can we now then target these areas of comprehension and vocabulary? How can we build our time in text? How can we take these students to the next level through increased summarizing, through writing, through more speaking, and looking at the instructional strategies that we can continue to build upon for that population. In math, when we look at our pass rates by subgroups, we again see that growth in the English learners population, and we're continuing to see an upward trend there. But then in the other subgroups, we're seeing that, we're kind of flat again, or we're dropping by a couple percentage points. So in math, we actually started looking at the difference between 5th grade and 6th grade, because we will see as we move through on the next slide when we break down by grade levels, we did notice a pretty big discrepancy between our 5th grade math and our 6th grade math scores. So we started looking down at those scores, what success did we have in 6th grade, and how did we feel that then impacted these subgroups. So if we're looking at our pass rates by SOL tests, that is where, okay, in 6th grade, we did see growth in both reading and mathematics. So in 6th grade reading, we saw growth of 3 points from a 71 to a 74, and in math, we saw growth from an 82 to an 86. And one thing to point out in the math is that is the one test that we did exceed the state average. And in looking at our cohorts, our students who were in grade 5 in 2015-2016 had a pass rate of 82, and that same group of students had a pass rate of 86 in 2016-17. So that's where we're starting to look at, where was the success there? What were we seeing that really worked with those students, and how can we try to duplicate that to other areas? And, again, in the 6th grade reading, where we had success versus the 6th grade math, and then in our science scores. One thing that we noticed in 5th grade, and I think this was mentioned by somebody else, was we were also seeing weakness in our multi-step word problems. Multi-step word problems in our decimals and fractions. So we drilled down and really looked at those areas, and what we saw was that we really needed to increase our focus on our vocabulary in math. We needed to focus our an increased use of graphic organizers, the real-world connections within our math instruction, and really strengthening our small group guided math. One thing we talked about when we talk about reading is we talk about reading and science together quite often, because there's a great opportunity for those cross-curricular connections, increasing the nonfiction text. And one thing that we noticed when we're looking at the science scores is that our students were really able to identify information. They could go in and they could answer a question when they needed to recall information and identify something. And the breakdown on the standards started to get a little bit lower when we were having to apply or analyze or go up to the higher level. So our focus this year is going to be on having our students answer those higher level questions, but also start asking those higher level questions. And that needs to be the foundation for our instruction in these areas. And we're hoping to see growth in those scores based on that. So to kind of summarize that back around, our areas of strength again were in grade math scores and the growth within our English learner population across the tests. We attributed some of that strength to our increased use of small group instruction in all of our content areas, the increased collaboration and sharing of resources amongst our teachers. We had an increased focus on vocabulary and writing in all of our content areas. Writing is present in science, social studies, and math, not just our language arts block. And there was an increase, especially within our 6th grade math group, of having our students set their goals and monitor their progress and really take responsibility for their learning. For our areas of improvement, again, we're talking about the 5th grade math, looking at those multi-step word problems, our decimals and our fractions, which were identified as our biggest areas of weakness. So to tackle this, we're going to deepen our level of rigor in our assignments. We're going to have our students answering and asking the higher order thinking questions. We're going to increase our use of graphic organizers and visual supports, and we're going to increase building background knowledge using math vocabulary with our students. So that takes us to our goals for this year, our 2017-2018 improvement goals. In the area of student achievement, we want to increase our reading SOL pass rate to a 77% from the 73. We want to increase our 5th grade math SOL pass rate to an 83% from the 77. For student services, we want to focus a lot on our counseling program this year. So our first goal in student services is that 100% of our students receiving Tier 3 behavioral intervention will have a minimum of 3 counseling sessions. This is to take a proactive approach to these situations that we're facing in the school. And also, according to the Manassas City Counseling Survey, we want to increase the percent of students reporting that they really know their counselor from 74% to 84%. In human resources, we want to maintain or increase the current staff retention rate of 92%. And the next two kind of go together. We're going to have all first and second year teachers participate in at least 3 collegial visits during the year with feedback, and all teachers will participate in at least 1 collegial visit during the year with feedback. This is something the teachers really believe in strongly. We did this last year as a professional development practice where teachers were observing each other and giving feedback to each other and learning from each other. And our staff felt it really was strengthening them as a staff and a group of professionals collaborating, so we made that one of our goals for this year. For communication, our teachers will document at least 2 personal contacts, that's in person or by phone, with 100% of our parents during the school year. And we also want to increase our opportunities for parents to come into the school by 2 more events in order to improve our academic culture through parental engagement and provide our parents with a few more options because they often have conflicts with other events going on. Okay, so then we move to our response to intervention, our RTI slide. From last year in math, our Tier 2 pass rate of 42 and Tier 3 of 71, and in reading, our Tier 2 pass rate of 23 and Tier 3 was 40%. This year we have completed the screening of our students for our RTI program, and our intervention groups have started. We also will be meeting in our RTI committees once per week. This will be in the grade level planning meetings, and they'll be meeting with teachers and coaches to discuss this data and plan the instruction for the intervention groups. Our Tier 2 students will be served through small group instruction with their classroom teacher. That may include strategic guided reading, hands-on math, small group guided math. And our Tier 3 students will be served in the small group pull-out instruction with our PCG instructors. And we are looking forward to a happy and successful remainder of the 2017-2018 school year. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we have to clap again, too. Any questions or comments? Ms. Kiefer.
So I wanted to wait to the end to kind of address everybody and just say sort of what I said a few weeks back when the others were here as well. It's, we stand behind you. We know this is hard stuff. We know it's hard to come and talk about data sometimes. I think what I liked hearing from this group was a couple of things. You heard, collegial, you heard collaboration, you heard, we can always do better. We heard efficacious and all of these wonderful things tonight. And so I like the we mentality. I like that you all talk. I like that you consider parents and kids your partners in this. And so we just encourage you and want you to know, I hope I can speak for the board on this one, that we support you and we thank you for the hard work. And we know there's more to be done. but your energy really keeps us energized to wait to hear from you next year. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Thank you. I wanted to wait till the end as well. First of all, thank all four of you for your wonderful presentations. A thing that kept occurring to me was that you all were knowledgeable about what you were talking about, which is important. You're enthusiastic, which is important, especially working with students. You're very engaged, and you're compassionate, and we need that from our leaders and our principals, and I thank you all for exemplifying that. We appreciate it. Make sure you celebrate your achievements, especially Mr. Rupert, your scores at meetings were phenomenal. It's something we should celebrate and tout. The scores we have at Baldwin and also at Mayfield with the cohorts increasing their achievement, that's something to be proud of as well. We stand behind you. We appreciate your hard work. I love the fact that you also acknowledge the parents and the staff, especially who put in the hard work day after day, not seeing, but making the hard work, and putting the hard work to make strides with our students. And celebrate our kids as well, because I know a lot of kids, students who work hard. For years ago, my wife and I going to Weems and dancing with the students before they were getting ready for SOLs. And that was a little thing, but it's something that encouraged the students. So thank you for all you do, and we appreciate what you're doing, and we're behind you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? What they said. Seriously, I mean, we are behind you. I don't know why our scores aren't completely through the roof, because our people seem so awesome to me. So just keep doing what you're doing, and I have 100% confidence in you, and they did speak for the whole board. So thank you all very much. All right, now if I can go through the agenda correctly, so that Kiefer doesn't yell at me. Old business, school board compensation. I'm going to take this one myself. Earlier this year, I hope somebody's watching on TV at least. I brought this up because I believe that the school board deserves higher compensation than they've been getting for the last 8 or 10 years. I put a few notes down here that this job is not easy. You know, we don't do this for the glory. It takes a lot of time between expulsion hearings. We don't do a lot of them, but they're quite stressful. Personnel hearings. We don't do a lot of them, but they're quite stressful and lengthy at times. All of the committees, the policy committee, all of the committees that meet all the time. We have a budget meeting on Thursday. When we do things during the day, most of us who aren't retired have to take vacation time, or in my case, I actually have to close my business. This is not a free job to do. It costs us time, energy, and dollars to do this job. It's not free. It's quite stressful. I can attest to that. It puts a burden on the members, and it puts a burden on their families. And the job is worth a whole lot more than what is being presented tonight, let alone the current pay scale. This is in my opinion, obviously. And I believe with the amount of energy that is put out, that the salary should be increased. Part of the reason that we're doing this now is that it will take effect after the 2018 election. It won't go into effect until January of 2019. Some of us, me especially, and since I'm the one pushing this, I either will decide not to run, or the community may decide not to elect me. But this, I want to reiterate that this push by me is not a personal issue. This push is for future school boards, because I know the time and effort and stress that they will have to go through to do this job, and they deserve to be compensated better than they are now. Any other comments? Or we can get a motion so we can get a motion, have discussion. If somebody wants to make a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move the school board of the City of Manassas approve the school board compensation change to go into effect January 1st, 2019 as follows. A member of the board, $12,000. A chairman of the board, $13,100 on an annual basis.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mr. Williams, and we will continue discussion. Anyone?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a comment. This is a difficult decision to make as an elected official, in my opinion. One might contend that increasing our salary will attract a broader array, a quality of candidates. One might also contend that by voting against a pay raise is a potential political benefit or strategy. I disagree with both these assertions. It takes someone with a true commitment and passion for our students, our schools, and our community to truly take on this capacity and serve in this capacity. Individually, this increase is minute, and a significant portion of this will go to federal taxes. It will go to taxes. Those taxes are going to be redistributed out of my control. I have no control where these monies will go. Otherwise, this money will stay here. It'll stay here right in the Manassas City Schools for our students. For these reasons, I'm going to vote no. And that's it in my comments.
Anyone else? Sir?
I don't like talking just to talk, but I agree with what Mr. DeMaria said about the raise. The time and energy and effort that's put into this is more than a lot of folks know, and I think that the $6,000 is not enough. I can definitively say I'm not running again, so this won't affect me at all. So if we do increase it, it won't affect me because I will not 100% be running again, so I will not be on the board. So I feel I can speak more freely about it. I do think the folks up here deserve to be paid more. However, I totally understand why they would not want to be paid more, because our school system is not replete and flush with money, and I understand the reticence to increase our salaries when we have a budget where we're always constantly cutting things. So I understand both sides. I think we do need to increase the salaries, but I totally understand folks who don't want to increase it. I'm for the increase, but like I said, I understand the other side as well.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Mr. O'Hanlon?
Mr. Chairman, when I was asked to seek this position and ran, I was not aware that there was a salary. And from speaking to other members, I believe that's the way they came into this position. And as we heard, we're all here to serve the students. And there are other people who lead organizations not elected who are as busy, if not busier than we are, and do it purely out of charity. There's no salary. But on the other side, and you know, maybe to disagree with one of my colleagues, and I gained this wisdom from someone else sitting up here, there are members in our community who would love to be here to sit with us, who are out there working 2 jobs, and perhaps $10,000 a year or whatever would be enough to let them quit a second job and come join us here so that their voice can be heard in the community. And, you know, I am one that will be affected. I have to run, well, I'm running in a couple of weeks, and I'm running again next year because of the way I came about this position. But, you know, so I don't know that $12,000 is the right amount. It's, you know, a doubling of our salary. I think that's a bit excessive personally. No one does it for the money, though. So I don't know what the right amount is, but I do see a benefit to raising the salary overall. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Albrecht?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I respect every member of the board on every discussion we've had about this and the dialogue we've had. And I think I want to echo, this is a difficult decision because one can assert a vote to the positive as a self-serving decision, and I don't think any member of this or any previous board does it for the summer money. We do it for the children of Manassas and for the future of our nation. I do want to address Mr. Jordan's comments. I don't think the litmus test is how has the board role expanded. Because if we looked at how a job has expanded, no one in this district potentially would ever get a pay raise. Because teacher class sizes we hold constant. So the real merit is what is the job based on. And before I go, I would like to request that the comments with respect to bus drivers, if we could have a future presentation on that, because that implies that we are in violation of some statutes, and I don't think that's the case. I think, again, it's difficult for us to understand, and we need to hear more on it. But for the purpose of the board and the motion at hand, when you look at what the compensation of this board is, and we do it because we want to, not for the money, I think we have to look at, to Mr. Demaria's point, how much time it takes and what is the impact and what are we doing. And by the way, this doesn't take effect until 2019, January 2019, and it is the first increase in compensation at that point in 8 years?
Yeah.
So I have, in previous instantiations on this board, voted against a pay raise, and I have voted for a pay raise. And it's purely based on the merits of what's out there. I agree with Mrs. Williams. I don't think a vote in the affirmative will necessarily drive more or better candidates to seek this office, nor do I seek a vote, against it makes any big difference. It's really about all our decisions should be what's right. And given where we are, the expectations of this job, the demands of it, I think it's merited.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Seaver?
This consideration hasn't come up very often, right? When was the last time?
10 years ago, when it was voted on.
And at this time, we have 3, should I say, very seasoned members that have served multiple terms.
Yeah, that's what you should say.
And you know this role, and you're speaking to the benefits of a compensation increase. It's going to be a long time before we have board members with this much experience. And I look to your years of experience in sharing those with us. Thank you for that. When I look at it, I'm looking at future boards, and an increase in school board compensation may make the difference for some citizens to consider this role. We need to think about our future boards and being representative of our community, diverse in economic, personal, and professional background. School board salary is not a motivating factor to run for school board, but I do think that a salary increase will help encourage those with the passion to run and step up to leadership. And I think if there's a statement to be made by a compensation increase, it's simply that in the city of Manassas, we value education. So I'm very appreciative for my fellow school board members, and whichever way you vote, and I ask for your support in raising the compensation for school board members.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Ms. Kiefer?
I don't want to be left out here. So I do have to echo much of what's been said. I mean, it's a tough dispute to have. I think this board has handled it with such respect and camaraderie, and for that, I'm grateful. I know that we've talked both in many meetings about this and raised different issues, perhaps different ideas about how to go about it, and it is just so tough. At this time, for me personally, there's always a right time and a right place, and I'm just not sure we're there yet. So I'll be joining Mrs. Williams tonight in a vote no for the race. But I appreciate all that you all do.
Yeah. You'll get in trouble if you say something like that. Let me handle it, okay? All right, thank you, everyone. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't receive any emails on this topic. I haven't really heard about it.
Mr. Jordan's the only person I've heard from.
Okay.
And tonight. Anyone else? Nobody else? Okay. I'm going to reiterate what everybody else has said, not what I've already said. No matter your vote on this, if it's right in your mind, it's right. We do a lot of times, we go through a lot of things, and we come up, a lot of times, we are a unanimous board because of previous discussions. I don't think we're going to be unanimous tonight, either way, and I have no issue with that whatsoever. I understand both sides of this issue. I want to reiterate to everybody that we have been discussing this for a while. We didn't discuss it on TV to begin with because we didn't have this room at that time. We did it 2 weeks ago. We also considered benefits for the board, health benefits. That was obvious that there was not support for that, so that's not on the agenda for tonight. So we have worked on this, and we have stressed over this, and I'll be glad when we're done with it, so one less thing I have to stress over. So if no one else has anything, I have a motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mr. Williams, that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the school board compensation change to go into effect January 1, 2019 as follows: chairman, $13,100, members, $12,000 on an annual basis. Ms. Garza, you don't usually do this, but we usually don't have this much of a split. Can you call the roll?
I was going to ask for it, thank you.
And you'll start with the maker, and then the second.
Chairman DeMaria.
The maker would be Mr. Albrecht?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. That's why I knew we don't ever do this.
Mr. Albrecht,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mrs. Keeper,
No.
sorry, Mrs. Seaver,
Aye.
Mrs. Williams,
No.
Mr. O'Helman,
Aye.
Chairman DeMaria,
Yes, aye. We don't normally do that.
Vice Chairman Albrecht.
No, you've already done him. You started with him.
Oh, sorry.
Hopefully, we won't give you any more practice on that. So I believe it carries 5-2. And again, everybody's vote is right because that's what's in your conscience, and I appreciate it very much. All right, thank you all. Now we will move on to negotiation of the superintendent's contract. At our last meeting, we had a closed session to discuss this, and by law, Mr. Albrecht pointed out to me, and I contacted a lawyer to make sure that we did need to do this.
And I knew what I was talking about?
I wanted to make sure. It's not that I didn't believe you, I just wanted, a second opinion. I wonder how many people are watching. And so what we're going to be doing tonight is basically doing what we talked about in closed session 2 weeks ago. Can I get a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Wait, did you want to, but before we make the motion, we had a discussion. Mr. O'Hanlon came to me and wanted some different wording.
It's been taken care of.
Oh, it has been taken care of on here?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Mr. O'Hanlon, sit back and calm down, sir. All right. We have a pretty intelligent staff. Sir.
Let's see. Mr. Chair, I move that the school board of the city of Manassas authorize Mr. Tim DeMaria, the school board chairman, to initiate contract discussions with Dr. Catherine McGorrick to employ and appoint Dr. Catherine McGorrick, superintendent of Manassas City Public Schools, for a term scheduled to expire on 30 June 2018.
Where did you read that, sir?
I made it up. I don't know the way it's worded. It says the same thing. You can't make a motion to employ you until you authorize you to negotiate you.
That's not what it says, sir.
Yes, it is.
No, what it says is that we did appoint her back when.
That's not what mine says.
That expires on 2018.
Oh.
You want to redo that?
Here's why I put my glasses on. So I'm going to make a motion for fact.
Can we rewind this on television, sir?
I would have been happy to do it.
I wish you had.
Withdraw the motion.
I withdraw the motion, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that.
The first is a whereas.
Well, the motion that the school board is, I'm not making a motion.
You can't make a motion to do the past tense thing.
Just say it whereas in the front.
Oh, because that's the date you have to have.
Right, and it expires then.
Okay, now I understand the context.
So, Mr. Williams.
About that, put in whereas.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, whereas the School Board of the City of Manassas employed and appointed Dr. Catherine McGorick, Superintendent of Manassas Schools, Manassas City Public Schools, for a term scheduled to expire on 30 June 2018, I hereby move the School Board of the City of Manassas authorize Mr. Tim DeMaria, School Board Chair, to initiate contract discussions with Dr. Catherine McGorick.
Second.
Okay, hopefully that works. All right, is there any discussion?
Nope.
Thank you all. Motion, whereas the school board of the city of Manassas employed and appointed Dr. Catherine McGorick, Superintendent of Manassas City Public Schools, for a term scheduled to expire on June 30, 2018, it is moved that the school board of the city of Manassas the school board of the city of Manassas authorizes Mr. Tim DeMaria, school board chairman, to initiate contract discussions with Dr. Catherine McGorick. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries 7-0. Aren't you glad we didn't have to call roll after all that? Student Achievement Proposed 1721 Strategic Plan. Dr. Saunders.
Thank you to my scholarly lawyer friend who understood what I was trying to say.
Follow that, lady.
I'm going to let Alva click.
Oh, she's working on this.
Great. So, good evening, Chairman DeMaria, members of the board. I know this is strategic plan, so you all thought that Dave Lyon would be standing up here with you this evening, but you get me instead. Mr. Lyon is at home with his daughter at her final senior game for lacrosse, I believe. So he was not able to be here tonight, so he was being a dad. So I'm here. It's my pleasure to kind of be here and talk about the proposed strategic plan, which is an action item, but actually to step backwards in time a little bit and look at our previous strategic plan. So, okay, I'm going to touch something here. There we go. So as I said, the first thing we're going to do is take a few minutes to kind of reflect back and review the 2013 to 2019 strategic plan and the accomplishments. So I feel really honored to stand up here in front of you because I feel like I've had a bird's eye view of all of this over the last 15 years that I've been here and been able to watch the students in Manassas City grow, watch the staff in Manassas City grow, watch the school board, the community, myself grow as an educator. And so it's really very humbling to stand here this evening and share some of these accomplishments, the hard work and the dedication that the staff and the students and the community have put into our school system over the last 5 years. It does say 2013 to 2019. And so we started the process of the new strategic plan this past year because we actually accomplished everything in 5 years instead of 6. We were working hard and really focused, and that's to the credit of many people in the school division. So as I talk through this, I really wish that I could talk about every single thing on here, and you know I probably could, but I know your time is valuable, and I want to highlight some things that I think really express the work and the vision that's been with us over the last 5 to 6 years. So in the area, our strategic plan had 5 areas in the previous strategic plan, one being student achievement and human resources. And we really rocked it here. I mean, that's really what I can say. Spent a lot of time looking at curriculum, instruction, student achievement. You heard from principals today about what their teachers are doing, what their kids are doing. You've heard from them last week. the amazing work that's happened with instructional programs, with a new instructional framework, with our digital learning that's in place at the high school. We are one-to-one now at Metz Middle School and nearly one-to-one in the rest of our buildings. We have an expanded pre-K program. I just did the report today. We have 295 students in our pre-K program, so we exceed the number of slots that the state is providing. Some of those are special education students, so they are taken care of in another funding source. But we are just so proud of the work that our parents and our teachers and our community has done with our pre-K program. We've really worked hard on our professional development program, trying to meet the needs of teachers. We continue to hear that. What is that personalized professional development for teachers? How does that grow over the years? Our K-12 STEM plan and our K-12 CTE program, the school board has been a phenomenal support in those programs. Our CTE program is getting recognized everywhere. We are now the Governor's STEM Academy at Osborne High School. We have submitted an application to be awarded a Governor's Achievement Award for both Osborne High School for the Governor's STEM Academy and for Weems Elementary School. We're waiting to hear on those, fingers crossed. And we have just a ton of accomplishments with our teachers. You heard Mr. Rupert talk about his History Teacher of the Year. We've had a CTE teacher nationally recognized. We've had all kinds of teacher accomplishments over the time that we've been here. I am also going to speak a little bit about some of the other areas, and I do that, as I said, I think I've had an opportunity to have a bird's eye view of the work that so many people have done, whether it's Ms. Radford, whether it's Mr. Hawkins or Dr. Stone or Dave Lyon or Megan Moore or Ashley Cramp or your principals. They all have tremendous power and opportunity to support our schools. So my voice might be the one you hear tonight, but please understand that my voice is representing hundreds of people behind us, the students in the community, and I'm proud to do that. Our communications have been amazing over the last 5 years. I can remember when we started the mobile app. I can remember when our website was very difficult to navigate, and now it's very easy to navigate. We have our key communicators in our community, the Student Advisory Council at Osborne High School that Dr. McGorrick spends time with. We're now on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I'm sure plenty of other things that really keep us out there in the forefront. Last year, we provided the staff engagement survey to really get to that idea of how do we engage staff and how do we ensure that they really like and enjoy and have a powerful voice in the work that they do every single day. We spent a lot of time over the last 3 years talking about our formal business partnerships. You've seen so many of them in here in the school board in front of you, whether it's through our STEM programs, whether it's through our elementary school programs. The community is now involved and part of what we're doing every single day, and that's extremely important. In the area of finance and administrative and student support services, when we did this strategic plan, they were all kind of put together. And this is a list of lots of pieces in here. You know, I've participated in the zero-based budget process as both a principal, as a director, and as an executive director, and what a process that is. It's transformative in so many ways, and it's very transparent. You really have to dig deep and think about what do our students need and how do we align our resources to really meet those needs. And our finance department and our staff have been really helpful in that process and help us to think about how do we make sure that we are providing the best resources and opportunities for our students. We have implemented Munis. We all love that. It's great. And I'm sure Andy could talk a lot about those things over the years. We've put in place lots of safety measures for our students, whether it's the Raptor system as you come into the schools, which seems very natural these days. It doesn't seem like anything different. It feels like it's been there forever. To our access, our door control access, which is something that's happened. We've implemented a fraud, waste, and abuse hotline. It's really a button on Let's Talk these days. Our volunteer background check system, the establishment of self-service and the self-service portal for employee benefits and payroll, the visitor management system, as I spoke about, and we've developed a K-12 attendance and discipline plan with regulations. And I guess I would be remiss if I forgot that we built a building, a very big, we built Baldwin. I think when I came here 15 years ago, we were talking about building Baldwin, and so it's actually built. And Baldwin Intermediate, Baldwin Elementary School, Johnson Wing was completed and open and part of that process. And just amazing facilities. I get to walk into these facilities every day and I'm amazed at how well our students take care of them, how well our staff takes care of them, and how proud they are every single day to open them up. In technology, I wish Bobby was here to talk to you about these things, but you know, I think from the technology perspective, this is the foundation of everything that we have been able to do. I can remember being at Metz and being extremely frustrated with the wireless not working or the infrastructure wouldn't support the things that we wanted to do. Today, we don't have those conversations. People don't talk about what we can't do. People talk about what we can do and what's the next thing that's coming. You know, Bobby and his team, the technology department, has done amazing work. They like the 99.999% thing in that world, as I've learned, and they keep our system up and running all the time. There really is no downtime, and it really is something that we just take for granted these days, and I think that's how it's supposed to be. We've launched digital citizenship curriculums with internet safety for K-12. Our students in kindergarten through 12th grade now have Google accounts. Now, we haven't used them yet in kindergarten and everything, but we have the access and the ability to have all of our students connecting, communicating, and really collaborating. So our technology supports everything that we do in the instructional world. We have an increased computer-student ratio, a data center that's virtualized. We don't have like all these computers everywhere. They put them in the cloud, all of our data centers, and just really have modernized the work that we do there. The people in our technology department are amazing. They respond quickly, and they really focus on providing the best quality experience for the end users, those of us that are doing the work, whether we're in the work side of things or whether it's the students. So that's a lot in a very short time. And I wish I could really have spent a long time talking about each and every one of those. What I will share with you is that I think what that has done, those 5 years in that strategic plan that you all supported, that the community supported, that the staff really worked through, it really provided us the foundation and the standard and put us on in a place where we're able to bring forward the next strategic plan, and it's all about the future. It's all about the possibilities, the opportunities, and the amazing things that our kids are going to do in the future. I've looked several times at the elements of the strategic plan that's proposed and have talked to staff about, you know, one of the things in there is learning anytime, anywhere, which is a really cool idea to think about how does that look and how do we really meet the needs of kids today, whether it's through really high-quality CTE programs, whether it's through a blended learning project, whether it's through their engagement in the community. The possibilities are tremendous, and they're made that way because of the work, I think, the foundation that was set in those 5 years. So I'm pleased to have had the opportunity to share a little bit of that with you and to put forward the proposed strategic plan for the next few years and how we're moving forward. So what you see here is a timeline of the work that we did for the strategic plan. Started back in February, where we launched the priority surveys. We went through some board iterations through the work that you did over the summer. We had committees that were working in our community, members that came together that really thought about what are those possibilities, what is the future, what does it look like as we move forward. The committees finished their work in June, and K-12 presented the information at the board retreat in July. Dave's been up here several times between then, July and today, sharing different iterations of the draft, making adjustments, getting feedback. The last piece of our presentation was to put the draft out for public input. It's been out for public input from the 12th of September through the 30th of September. And tonight we'll share with you we did receive 2 comments. We'll share them here in a second. And then this evening, we have an action item for the school board to take action on the proposed agenda, or the proposed strategic plan. The two public comments we received were great. One was from a student who really had some concerns about this idea of this collaboration and group projects all the time. This student expressed her opinion about collaborative learning and sharing some negative experiences, feeling the pressure of owning that themselves and not having the input from the rest of their team members or other people. And so as we work through this, I mean, I think it's a valid concern. You may have all somewhere along the line experienced that yourself. And so we can talk about that through how we work with our students in their soft skills and how we talk to kids about how they participate in group activities and what the expectations are, setting norms and doing those types of things. So I think we can help to address this with teachers and with staff members so that the student's voice is heard. And the second comment is from a parent who had some questions about career and technical education programs and what was the plan for internships and students who they perceived were not college-bound. Actually, myself and Susan McNamara and Paul Steiner all reached out to the parent and had some great conversations about what programs are available at Osborne High School, how we consider students to all be CTE students, that everyone needs some experiences in the real world, whether they're in those programs as listed above or whether they are in a general education program where they're going off into a college or whatever their choices are, that those real-world experiences are important for all of our students. And the parent was very appreciative of the contact and provided us another good thumbs up and let's talk. So I think we've addressed both of those comments that have come from the community. And this is the 2017 to 2021 strategic plan proposed. Thank you.
I think we've seen it once or twice.
You might have.
Mr. Chair, I have one question.
Ms. Williams.
Remind me, those are the same two comments that we, that were shared with us last meeting, correct? Same two? Okay.
Correct. There was nothing new that came in after that. I think Mr. Lyon just shared those verbally.
Yes.
And we went ahead and put them into print for the final action.
Okay.
Anyone else? Do you want
Aren't there more slides? Is that it?
It's just the
That's it.
strategic plan.
Okay, got it.
We've seen 1,000 times.
You don't want to see it again, really?
We just wanted to make sure that the public had, could see everything that had been done.
Got it.
And so if they needed to refer on, they could.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair, I move that the school board of the City of Manassas approve the proposed 2017 through 2021 strategic plan as presented.
Second.
I got Mr. Well, is there any discussion? Mr. O'Hanlon?
One question. I know one time, Mr. Albrecht, you mentioned dating 2018 to 2020. I don't remember the answer to that question, but as we get so close to 2018 and the other one runs till 2019 technically, I was just curious about what the answer
I'm
is.
comfortable with the 17-18 academic year, and that's...
I mean, nothing in the plan will be implemented during the 17-18 years, so
Right.
So why are we calling it the 18 to 22 or whatever?
I don't have an answer. Well, maybe because we're approving it now. I'm not sure.
Or beginning of the next section?
No, we're working without a strategic plan right now. This will be for this school year.
When you showed at the beginning, you said in 2019.
Correct. So we've completed that, and this will, we have all the elements achieved in that, and so we would be starting with this plan today.
She doesn't like to brag that, staff is overachieving.
Yeah. It's all them.
Anyone else? Okay. I'm impressed. I really am. I'd like more, I always make fun of the thousands of people watching on television. I really wish there were, because we need to continue to get our story out there, and I just really am impressed with all the work that staff does and how well they do it. I appreciate all of your all's work. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Albrecht, a second by Mr. Williams, that the school board of the city of Manassas approve the proposed 2017-2021 strategic plan as presented. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries 7-0. Thank you very much, Dr. Saunders.
You still need that one, right?
Yeah, that's...
Yes. Mr. Chair, I move the school board of the city of Manassas enter closed session pursuant to exemption from open meetings as allowed by Section 2.23711, Part A, Paragraph 1 of the Code of Virginia, 1950, as amended for the following purpose. Section 2.23711, Part A, Paragraph 1, discussion of personnel matters, PERS 1718-0182 and PERS 1718-0192.
Kiefer? Thanks for your help. I have a motion by Mr. Albrecht, second by Mrs. Kiefer, that the school board enter closed session pursuant to exemptions from open meetings allowed by Section 2.2-3711, Part A, Paragraph 1 of the Code of Virginia, 1950, is amended for the following purpose: discussion of personnel matters, PERS 1718-0182 and PERS 1718-0192. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries 7-0. Thank you all.